Hey, this is Sri here. Now, if you've landed on this video, I know you're probably going through an extremely difficult time in your marriage right now. You're probably going through either a separation or a divorce. And if you are, then my heart goes out to you. I know how extremely difficult it is. I speak to women every single day who are going through some really challenging times in their marriage. And I just want to let you know that you're not alone. You know, it's an extremely difficult time, but you're not alone, and I'm here for you. And so in today's video, I'm going to talk you through 3 important steps that you need to take if you're going through a really difficult time where separation or divorce is either looming or is actually occurring in your life right now. Now, in addition to this, I know how isolating and how difficult the journey is, especially when often in your mind you're probably afraid of the steps that you're taking and whether they're the right thing to do. You're almost walking on eggshells a little bit and feeling like you don't want to mess anything up and could lead that person that you're with to walking out the door and impacting your family and your kids and that whole life that you've built together. So I know it's really difficult, and I just want to let you know that maybe there might be a way in which I can actually help you to move forward and progress on this journey and on this path that you're on. So if it does feel right, if you do feel like you need some guidance and some support on this journey, then I'd encourage you just to book in for a call. Just below in the description section, you'll see a link which says book a call with me. Click on that link, just choose a time that works for you. And I'll just get to learn a little bit more about your story and just see if there's any way that I can help you either on this journey on a one-to-one basis or potentially through my coaching program as well, the Authentic Relationship System. I'd love to be of service to you, but most importantly, I just want to make sure that you're in a good place yourself because, as I said, I'm on these calls regularly, and I know that the pain that a lot of individuals are going through in their marriages, it's the most crushing pain. Also, if you're in a difficult time in your marriage, you're probably wanting some content that's going to serve you and make sure that you are moving in the right direction. So just make sure you hit the subscribe button below so that you get access to my weekly videos, which will teach you specifics about how to improve the quality of your marriage, how to really understand more about male psychology and really get to know men at a deeper level, and especially your husband or partner. And that way you're going to be able to adapt your communication style and do your very best in order to, get the most out of him during this difficult time. And also how to improve yourself, because I'm a firm believer that when we're going through these difficult times in marriages or relationships, a huge part of our sense of self gets depleted. And so what this is if you can learn to actually heal and to grow from within, it's going to mean that not only do you feel much more at peace and just a little bit more liberated within yourself, but it also means that you're going to make the best decisions for both yourself and your family as well, which I know you're going to be wanting to do. For those of you who haven't met me before, my name's Sri Rajasekar, and I help women from all over the world to be able to save their marriages and really help to rebuild themselves as well, because whenever anyone's going through a challenging time in their marriage or relationship, often that has a big impact on their own sense of self, and they start to feel those wounds of inadequacy and fear of losing their family. And that's not the fact that they're doing anything wrong. It's just the realities of the experience. It's perfectly normal, but it is something that is extremely difficult for people to go through. And that's why I do what I do, to be able to serve you and help you on this journey that you're on right now. Now, when the possibility of separation is looming, or even if you're going through it, it's incredible the amount of fears that often come up for individuals. As I mentioned, I speak to a lot of women every single day, and one of the things I'm often hearing is the fear of not being good enough, the fear of losing your family and your friends, a fear of a loss of identity of just who you are. Because so many women have put a lot of time and energy into creating this beautiful family, then losing that is almost like losing a part of your soul, and you're not sure who you are and what would be those next steps. And so I'm going to talk you through today those 3 important steps that you need to take on this journey right now that I truly believe will help you to maximize your chances of saving your marriage during this really difficult time at the moment. Now, the first step that you need to be taking if you're going through a separation right now is to recognize the patterns of the blueprint. Now, what do I mean by that? One of the things I've observed over the years when it comes to men is that they often have this blueprint of how they expect their life to unfold. And then there is the reality of how that life has unfolded. When we recognize that the difference between the blueprint and the reality, that discrepancy, that difference or that delta, when we understand those differences, what happens is we can then start to rationalize and make sense of why our partner or our husband has actually gone down the path that they've gone down in terms of requesting a separation or requesting a divorce and so on. Because often it's not actually about just the day-to-day behaviors that are going on in the marriage. What it often is that a man may find that his job or his career is not quite where he wanted it to be. He might have had some visions when he was younger, say in his early 20s, that he wanted to become a multimillionaire, or he wanted to become a professional sportsman, or he wanted to become a CEO of a Fortune 500 company, whatever it may be. It doesn't matter what that expectation is. He would have had an expectation on some level. So you've got this expectation over here, and then right now he may be in between careers. He may not be sure what to do or what steps to take. He might be uncertain. He might be feeling completely inadequate, that he can't provide for the family or provide the sort of income that he wants to in order to allow you and the kids to be able to live this incredible life that you really wanted to. Whatever that discrepancy is, that'll be causing him pain. So then what happens is you create all this pain inside, and then you add to that the frustrations in terms of the communication between the two of you, or those differences will lead him to be angry and annoyed, and then one little thing that happens either between you and him or with the kids or whatever will immediately trigger him. And once it triggers him, it's going to send him into a spin and get angry and frustrated. Now, whilst that has nothing to do with you, you unfortunately are on the receiving end of some of his negative behaviors. And that's really, really hard and really, really sad to navigate around, because you're probably sitting there going, I don't understand. I didn't even do anything, and he's just pissed. He's annoyed. He's angry all the time. And so I totally understand how difficult that is. Once you can understand the blueprint versus the actual reality, then what happens is you can understand and empathize with where he's at, and then start to change your approach in terms of your communication. Now, I know it's frustrating because it feels like, oh, why do I always have to make the changes? But remember, the secret to living is giving. The secret to a healthy and happy marriage is about learning to serve beyond ourselves. Now, at the moment, you're probably feeling depleted, and then suddenly here I am telling you to change your way you communicate and speak to your partner or your husband. But it's not actually about you necessarily trying to change him. It's just about lowering the friction in the marriage or the relationship. Now, does that guarantee that that's going to get him to change 100%? No, because he still may be frustrated with himself. But for a lot of individuals, especially when they're in the home environment, because they're seeing it every single day, and once they've experienced so much pain inside and they don't want to deal with it themselves, they end up putting it on to other people. But if you can learn and understand more about your husband and go at a deeper level, and especially understand what his current reality is versus his actual expectations, then that's going to allow you to adapt, to have compassion for the pain that he's going through. And just by doing that, just by softening things for your own self, then it's going to come across in a different way to him. As I mentioned, you might feel depleted as a result of all of the challenges over the years, which is why we want to really embark on step number 2, which is all about self-empowerment. What I notice a lot of the time in relationships and marriages is that a lot of women will often feel disempowered. They have no control over the finances. They have no control over making any decisions. They fear making decisions, especially when they think, oh, if I go and buy this thing, then, my husband's going to absolutely lose it. And I'm scared of that, so therefore they don't. So therefore what they're saying is, husband up here, I'm down here, and whatever he says goes. But that's not how it should be. It needs to be more of an equal grounding here. You should be able to just go off, and if you want to spend some money on something and you feel like and you're making a responsible decision, do it. That to me is something that's really, really important, and you have every right to do that. If you want to take the kids somewhere and that's something that you want to do and you feel it's great for the kids, you need to be able to do that. Now, easy for me to say over here behind the camera, and I totally understand how difficult that often can be. But what if you are finding that it is difficult for you to do something like that, what that means is that you haven't necessarily claimed and reclaimed your sense of self as a person. What that means is often we hold on to a belief that we are inadequate at the deepest level. Now, on top of that, we're often living with fear, anxiety, stress, and really just not wanting to stir the pot, because ultimately we're afraid of having difficult conversations or we're afraid of conflict. But I've really found, not just in my life, but in my clients' lives, that when you step up, when you actually reclaim your sense of self, and you know, hang on, look, I am enough just as I am. I am perfect as I am, and I have every right to have a voice and do the things that I need to do and make the decisions that I need to make because I'm choosing to do it and my opinion matters and my opinion counts. It's incredible what happens in terms of the dynamic between the client and the partner as well. It is incredible. I see these amazing women who've been able to create this incredible version of themselves. Not someone that's a different person altogether, but just someone that has reclaimed the parts of themselves that were always who they are, but that had been suppressed for so long. And we're letting that shine, to be vulnerable when you need to be able to open yourself up and become the best version of you. It is an amazing, amazing thing. And to start with, just a simple thing. You can sit in front of the mirror just for 30 seconds to a minute every day, even when you're brushing your teeth, and just look at your eyes and just say, today I am learning to love and honor myself. I am learning to love and honor myself. Or I love and honor myself, because I acknowledge that sometimes in the beginning, it's quite difficult to say, look, I love myself and not believe it. So if we can recognize that there's a part of us that's learning to do that, that can be a beautiful, just a quick little affirmation to start with, just a simple thing that can help to create some shifts. And if you're wanting to, learn a little bit more about some much more deeper tools and tools that will really and truly create some big shifts in your life, then as I said, you're more than welcome to click on that link below where it says book a call with me. Just choose a time that works, and I'd love the opportunity to speak to you and just to see how we can help you to move forward. And the third step that you want to be taking whilst you're going through this really difficult time in separation is to recognize the benefits that come with separation. Now, a lot of the time when we're going through a separation, we look at it as a bad thing. We look at it as this problem, and that our family is going to be wiped out and we're not going to be able to have the same connection of any sort, and our kids are going to be having lots of problems, and we're going to have to put them into counseling or therapy, etc., etc. Now, naturally, we're going to be in survival mode at that moment in time. It's a very normal thing. I wouldn't expect it any other way for you. But if we can just shift our gaze a little bit to go from survival to opportunity, then what happens is our brain and our mind are going to start looking at things from a totally different lens. And that's where the magic can start to happen. Now, if we were to see this as an opportunity, firstly, because what it's doing is it's giving you the opportunity to step back and be able to look at the whole marriage, to look at the current circumstances without being in the pressure cooker. When we're in the moment, it's so intense. But I hear it all the time. I regularly hear it from clients who come to me and while they're going through a separation, and they tell me, look, Sri, just going through this process and doing some of the inner work has actually given me the sense of liberation, mainly because I'm not in that pressure cooker environment every day. And I have the time and the energy and the emotions and the space and the safety to be able to work through my own emotions and my own feelings and so on. And once you look at it from that perspective, when you see that there's actually a benefit that comes with it, that can actually start to promote the healing process. The second part is that it helps you to look at the overall marriage. A lot of the times I'll speak to someone and, they'll tell me that they've been having some challenges in their marriage. But then when I go a little bit deeper and I learn about things, I've seen that they've been having problems for years. I mean, I was literally on a call earlier today with someone who had been having marital problems for 28 years. Like that amount of time where it's just been chipping away and compounding, that's a really, really difficult place. But then by that point, it becomes so difficult and scary to change, we end up wanting to stay in the same place. So I guess my invitation to you is this. You want to look at this and say to yourself, if I was to tolerate this for another 3 to 6 months, where would my life be? If I was to handle it for another year from now, where would my life be? And then also, what would be the impact on myself, on those around me? How would that impact our lives if we were to carry on in the same path? And by understanding that, I'm not getting you to just continue to reinforce the pain. It's getting you to a place where you recognize, okay, I need to make some changes. You really, really deserve it. And the fact that you're watching this video tells me that you are truly in a place where you're wanting change. But these are the interesting things that happen with the human brain, is that often when we want change, our brain will come in and try and sabotage it and keep us locked in that pain and not actually do anything. But if we can just take some time to look at that from a different perspective, if we look at our situation from a different perspective and see this as an opportunity to take some time away to be able to create some healing on the inside, what it does is it allows us to make the best decision for our future. Now, as I mentioned before, I know how difficult it is and I know how emotionally consuming it is. I've been there in my life. I've been through difficult relationships before where I've had to part ways, and it's, when we've had houses involved and all sorts of problems, and it's a really difficult place. It's really hard to let go. So I know firsthand the pain that comes with it. As I said, I'd love to support you on this journey. One of the beautiful things about the work that I do and the people that I connect with is that we have this lovely community. So what it does, it helps you recognize that you're not on your own, because that's one of the hardest parts about it, is feeling completely isolated and alone on this journey. And so the lovely thing is that we have these beautiful women who are in this community who are there to support and help and guide and just share their experiences and so forth as well. And you can connect with them and you can become friends and catch up regularly with those people as well. And know that also at the same time, you're getting this professional expert advice on how to create shifts from within, but also making the best decision for your marriage and your future and maximizing your chances of being able to save this marriage. Because here's the thing, literally in the last few months, I think I've had about 7 or 8 people message me telling me that their husbands have come back out of nowhere after 7 months, 9 months, 12 months separated. And that's because the female clients that I've had, what they've done is they've done a huge amount of internal work. And what I think happens in those situations is the healing from the inside starts to promote healing from the outside with other people as well. And I'd love to be there of service to you as well on this journey. So as I said, if you would like to speak to me and just get to know a little bit more about what I do and how I can help you, and if I'm the right person for you, then just click on that link below, choose a time that works for you, and I'll contact you and we can make sure and just help you to move forward and make the best decisions for your future and really help you to live that life of joy and love and happiness that you truly deserve. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really, really appreciate it. If you've liked it, make sure you hit the like button below. If you want to get more videos like this, make sure you hit the subscribe button. And please let me know what your biggest takeaway is on this video as well. Just in the comment section below, just write down your biggest takeaway and I'll make sure I respond to you. And if you have any questions at all, just write them below as well and I'll make sure I respond. And if you want to learn how to save a broken marriage, if you're the only one trying, just click this video above. And if you want to learn why men regret losing a good woman, just click this video above. Thank you so much. You're absolutely amazing and I can't wait to speak to you in the next video.